The night was electric with life, the air heavy with music and the low hum of conversation. Marlowe stood on the threshold of the event, his hand gripping the entry ticket so tightly that the paper crumpled against his palm. He had spent hours preparing for this moment, choosing clothes that would allow him to blend in, rehearsing his demeanor until he believed it convincing. But now, as he stared at the door, his unease mounted. The venue was a nondescript building, tucked between a row of brownstones. Rainbow lights spilled from the windows, painting the pavement in vibrant hues. Laughter erupted from inside, a sound so genuine and uninhibited that it set Marlowe's teeth on edge. He forced himself to take a deep breath, shoving aside his discomfort as he stepped inside. The scene that greeted him was a kaleidoscope of color and energy. The room was alive with movement, people dancing, talking, and embracing with an ease that Marlowe couldn't comprehend. The air smelled of sweat, perfume, and something faintly sweet that he couldn't identify. A drag queen in a dazzling sequined gown held the court at the center of the room, her laughter ringing out like a bell. Marlowe's gaze swept over the crowd, cataloguing faces, mannerisms, and potential targets. Despite his meticulous planning, he felt like an intruder. The warmth and camaraderie of the room only magnified his alienation. He adjusted his collar, his skin itching under the fabric. He reminded himself why he was here: to gather intel, to uncover the truth, to bring justice to what he perceived as a festering threat. As Marlowe moved through the crowd, his every step felt labored, his mask of neutrality slipping. A group of friends laughed uproariously nearby, and he couldn't help but flinch at the sound. It was too much, too vibrant, too carefree. His discomfort was palpable, a predator among prey who somehow felt hunted. He maneuvered to a quieter corner, observing with a trained eye. Conversations ebbed and flowed, snippets of words floating toward him. He saw connections forming in every smile, every touch, a web of relationships he could neither fathom nor infiltrate. A pang of something unfamiliar twisted in his chest, and he ruthlessly shoved it aside. He wasn't here to understand. He was here to expose. Marlowe's practiced eye began picking apart the room. He observed clusters of people, noting who seemed to hold sway and who followed. His ears strained to catch snippets of conversation over the music, filtering out meaningless chatter in search of anything significant. His gaze fell on a man standing by the bar, dressed sharply but understatedly. The man's posture was relaxed, but his eyes constantly scanned the room. To Marlowe, it was the mark of someone who knew more than they let on. Ordering a drink he had no intention of touching, Marlowe positioned himself near the man. He initiated casual conversation, masking his intentions beneath an air of curiosity. The man's name was Jamie, and his responses were measured, his smile friendly, but guarded. "So you're new here?" Jamie said, tilting his head. It wasn't a question so much as a statement. Marlowe gave a tight-lipped smile. "Yeah, just exploring. Heard this was a place to meet interesting people." Jamie's eyes narrowed slightly, his smile unwavering. "It can be, if you know where to look." The comment hung in the air, a test that Marlowe struggled to decipher. He forced a chuckle, feigning nonchalance. "Well, I'm open to suggestions." Jamie didn't reply immediately. Instead, he glanced around the room, as if weighing Marlowe's worth. Finally, he leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "There's a place, but it's not for everyone. You have to be invited, vouched for. People there value their privacy." Marlowe's pulse quickened. This was it, the lead he had been waiting for. He kept his expression neutral, nodding thoughtfully. Sounds exclusive. How does someone get an invite? Jamie smiled again, but this time it didn't reach his eyes. You don't ask, you're noticed. The conversation ended shortly after, Jamie disappearing into the crowd with a polite nod. Marlowe's mind raced, replaying every word, every inflection. He had gained a sliver of information, but it wasn't enough. The frustration gnawed at him, feeding the simmering anger beneath his surface. He lingered at the event, hoping for another opportunity to strike up a meaningful conversation or overhear something useful. But the longer he stayed, the more out of place he felt. His disdain bubbled dangerously close to the surface, and it took every ounce of control to maintain his facade. At one point, a young man approached him, a warm smile lighting up his face. "You look lost," he said, his tone light and teasing. Marlowe stiffened. "Just taking it all in," he replied curtly. The man's smile faltered slightly, but he recovered quickly. "Well, if you need someone to show you around, let me know." Marlowe forced a nod, turning away before the man could say more. He didn't need kindness or camaraderie. He needed answers, and every second spent here felt like a battle against his own mounting disgust. As the night wore on, Marlowe felt the weight of his isolation. The room seemed to close in around him. The laughter and music, a cacophony that grated against his nerves. He slipped outside. The cool night air, a welcome relief from the stifling atmosphere. By the time Marlowe left the event, the night air was a welcome reprieve from the suffocating atmosphere inside. He walked to his car with heavy steps, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. He had a lead, albeit a fragile one, but the cost of obtaining it weighed on him. As he sat behind the wheel, he glanced at his reflection in the rearview mirror. The man staring back at him was a stranger, his face lined with exhaustion, his eyes hollow. The mission had become his life, but at what cost? His work relationships were strained, his reputation tarnished, and now even his sense of self felt eroded. He clutched his notebook, the hastily scrawled notes from the evening blurring under the dim light. His resolve hardened. He couldn't stop now. The lead Jamie hinted at was a thread, and Marlowe was determined to pull it, no matter how tangled the web became. Outside, the city lay shrouded in darkness, its secrets hidden beneath the glow of streetlights. Marlowe tightened his grip on the wheel, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He would follow this lead, no matter where it took him, no matter what it demanded. The hunt was far from over. Want to know what happens next? I won't spoil it for you here. You can dive into the full story in this amazing ebook. It's packed with twists, suspense, and a conclusion that will blow your mind. The full story is waiting for you. Just click the link pinned in the comments section and grab your copy. You'll be glad you did. So, what are you waiting for? Unlock the full adventure now, and let me know what you think of the ending. It's unforgettable, and that's where this episode ends. But trust me, the story is just getting started. In the next part, things take an unexpected turn, and secrets you never saw coming will be revealed. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, so you're the first to catch the next episode. And if you're as hooked as I am, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Got any theories or guesses about what might happen next? Share them, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Gay Hunter. Until then, stay curious and stay tuned.